shutdown was averted after the president reached an 11th hour budget deal with House Republicans and Senate Democrats. The fallout from that spending plan continues as many members express their disapproval, including my next guest who voted against it. Congressman Paul Tonko represents parts of the Capital Region and joins me in studio tonight. Welcome, Congressman.
Thank you, Aaron. It's a pleasure.
So tell us, why did you vote against the budget?
Well, I was concerned that it was an attack on middle America, middle-class America, and on working families. Reducing $38.5 billion mid-year in that whole process was really not the concentration of the work that needed to be done. We were able to have done better by looking at all of the potential tools in the kit. And what we did was concentrate solely on cuts to domestic programs that really impact heavily on education, health care, our veterans, small business, job production. So I thought that it was focused in a very narrow way and in a way that really, again, is a road to ruin rather than a path to prosperity, as it was dubbed. I really do think that by trying to move forward and reduce the size of government by just taking it out of the hides of the middle class is wrong, and needed to be fair as an across-the-board outcome. We're still hearing from the Republican majority about their advocacy for tax cuts for the wealthy, for millionaires and billionaires, mindless handouts to the oil companies, providing again for some relief for corporations that are the most wealthy in the world. These are the issues that really were avoided, and what they took on was this attack on the middle class. And, you know, I think it is a tipping point in our history now to really make certain that we empower the middle class, to make certain that we grow the purchasing power of the middle class, which produces a strong America.
So the alternative, in your case, you say should have been more taxes on the wealthy and
I think we needed to look at
for corporations.
We needed to look at revenues and not just at spending cuts. You know, when American families struggle, they will do cuts. They will tighten their belt, and they'll also look at new revenues. Perhaps look for you know, another job or what have you. But they will make ends meet. They will put together a soundness in that budget that looks across the board of opportunities rather than just cutting, perhaps denying their child education or health care for one of their loved ones. That is not the kind of choice that American families would make. They would want to make certain that they balance it in a way that's doable and effective and sensitive.
So heated budget talks are what we saw over the past several weeks kind of magnify the partisan divide in Washington. Is this a sign of what we're going to see moving forward, this constant stalemate over partisan issues?
Well, I hope not. You know, I think the electorate spoke loud and clear when they went to the polls in November, Aaron. And what I did hear was it's about jobs. It's about jobs and the economy. Start growing the economy. Stop shrinking the middle class. The message was loud and clear. I think that that message needs to be heeded. And what we did was arrive in town with a new majority that said it's about deficit spending. It's about cutting all sorts of programs in government. It's about you know, a raid on the middle class. That is not what the people said. People said we want jobs and we want this economy to be strengthened. And unfortunately, the economy and its breakdown, the recession, didn't happen overnight. You know, we had a surplus in the Clinton years. We balanced our budget. We made certain that we created a surplus in so balancing the budget, and then had a path designed for to address our debt.
But
and unfortunately, that was spent down.
Basically, though, there's different opinions on each side of how to get to fixing the economy and creating jobs, and that's where part of that divide lies.
But again, I think the message that resonated from the most previous, the most recent elections, that message is still true today. And as we return home for district work period during the religious break, religious holiday break, we will hear again from the constituents in this longer stretch, and we hear from them routinely. And I know that the message is even more pronounced. We want the economy fixed. We want jobs. People are looking for those jobs, and they want we need to know that some of these cuts are painful, they're foolish, they're draconian, and they just don't. We need to have down payments, investments in certain areas. For instance, this is the third fastest growing hub in the country for science and tech related jobs. Why would I endorse a plan that cuts deeply into R&D, into research and development? That makes no sense. The way we grow this economy here regionally is to invest in science and technology, in high-tech jobs. The programs they're cutting would do the reverse. Small business is the engine that drives our economy. We're not providing for the assistance that small business needs. Education, cutting 250,000 children out of Head Start opportunities is not the answer. We can balance the budget, we can be fiscally responsible and deal with our debt and deficit situation, all while avoiding, the end to Medicare, which they call for. We want to avoid that end to Medicare. We can move forward by not kicking kids out of classrooms. We can certainly move forward by making certain there's research available for cancer, and certainly go forward with the investment in science and tech. We can do that and not privatize Social Security. There are ways to put on the thinking cap here, but we have to stay focused on the goal. And the goal has been established by the voters, by the electorate, by the constituencies that we serve.
So one of the major battles now that the budget has passed is whether to raise the ceiling of the national debt. Yeah, and the S&P credit rating agency today gave the U.S. a stable to negative rating, basically saying that there isn't like a firm plan that would address the large budget deficits and rising government indebtedness. Of course, Republicans are using this as an excuse to push their agenda and say, look, we cannot, raise the debt ceiling without including some long-term reforms, and that seems like a logical argument,
well,
does it not?
As the only New Yorker on the Budget Committee in the House of Representatives, I am very serious about addressing the United States full faith and credit situation. It is a very strong, important factor. But to take the full faith and credit of the United States government and hold it hostage by partisan politics would mean, it would be a drastic mistake, especially as we grow out of this recession and have a very fragile economic recovery. And it would certainly plant the seed of ruination for a global economic situation. It would be that seed that would cause a global economic meltdown. So I think we need to go forward with a clean bill, a straightforward vote on increasing that debt ceiling limit. Look, we were not there, many of us. I was not there to grow this debt. But certainly this is not about adding more programs or increasing spending. It's paying the bills that we've incurred. And I think, like any American family, America as a government needs to pay its bills. We need to be fiscally responsible, and we need to provide that clarion call to the world economy that we will honor our, we'll pay off our debt, and we'll honor our bills, and we'll pay those bills. I think that's an important statement that has to be made. It has to be a clean vote to move forward. To attach bells and whistles in a partisan political fight will not give us the time to work through those weeds before mid-May, when the statutory limit is effective. So we need to do this in a way that really speaks to fiscal responsibility, and we have to, as a Congress, move forward in a bipartisan way, and I'm optimistic we can. We're making certain that we fix the debt and the deficit situations in a way that will allow us to go forward and prosper with the investments that we need to make. The President just recently gave his speech. He talked about fiscal responsibility. He talked about a fiscal responsible plan that he's introducing. So the frameworks are there, and I think that we can get this done with a clean debt ceiling limit vote. Well,
it seems like there's no choice, but I'm sure Republicans, especially conservative Republicans, won't let it happen without, a fight by some means. But we have no more time left at this point. But thank you so much for sharing your insight, Congressman.
My pleasure. If we can move forward and keep Medicare alive, they want to end Medicare, they want to privatize Social Security, they want to attack the middle class. We can do better than that by looking at revenues and looking at handouts to oil companies and looking at defense budgets over at the Pentagon. They need to be addressed. They need to be part of this solution.
Well, definitely keep in touch with us with all of that.
My
Thank you,
pleasure,
Congressman.
Aaron.